Brought to you by NordVPN.
More lore. Add lore. Ba, ba, ba. I haven't been to the theater in a while.
Tisk,
in a hot minute.
tisk, tisk. Look at you. Uncultured.
I am cultured.
Unsophisticated.
Do I look unsophisticated to you? Do I? I don't think so. I don't think so. I even have my cultured tail now thanks to chat.
Middle class.
Whoa.
No, don't speak. You'll just make me throw up. I'd say cover up with this dinner jacket.
Feels bad,
but I'm
man.
afraid that you'd get your head stuck in the sleeve and asphyxiate.
Help, I'm stuck.
Listen, lowball.
Don't
Don't
bully
you
my
want to be
middle low class.
refined? Don't you want to be fancy? Like moi?
No.
That's French. I don't expect you to know what it means.
Moi is French. I am sorry. I only had 8 years of French.
But I have some good news. Before this financial
Just
year
8.
ends, I have decided to make a charitable deduction.
Oh.
It's you, champ. For you see,
You can have premarital sex.
there's virus. I have made several
a
videos,
virus.
though, which will show you how to bluff your way to the inner circles.
Oh.
Undetected. Yes. By the time the elites find out,
Neon Genesis Evangelion is psychological and intense.
It's
It will
actually
be too
quite
late.
easy to bluff your way.
I get you in, you eat all the hors d'oeuvres, and we get out. That's the plan.
Yeah.
And let's begin your
I
instruction
know.
with
It's delicious to go to fancy
Theatrical,
dinners.
the YouTube premium of upper society. And the first section? Symphony.
Symphony.
The first period of performance, that's called Baroque, from 1600 to 1750.
Baroque?
This featured Bach and Vivaldi.
I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. Every time I hear Baroque, I'm like, Baroque?
Now, there was also a guy named Giuseppe Tartini, and he was the best one of them all, because one evening he had a dream where the devil showed up and presented him with a deal. The devil would become his teacher and impart on him everything he knew about music.
Damn.
Yes. Once
to drop the
Tartini had
bass.
learnt everything he could, he handed over his violin and asked the devil to play. The devil played the greatest
Oh, the editing is so good. Oh, I read. Great was my astonishment on hearing a sonata so wonderful and so beautiful, played with such great art and intelligence as I have never ever conceived in my boldest flights of fantasy. I felt enraptured, transported, enchanted. My breath failed me.
musical piece that Tartini had ever heard. Tartini woke
And
up
then
with
he
a
woke
gasp,
up.
and he tried to recreate what he had heard in the dream. And what he wrote down was his most famous piece, the best thing he had ever written. And he said, "This is shite compared to the original. This is nothing better than a tribute."
You know the perfectionist when it's like, why am I even trying? This doesn't compare. This isn't good enough. I'm a
And
failure.
that's where you get the Tenacious D song from. He named this piece The Devil's Trill, and he claimed that the difference between his version and the version in the dream was so great that he would have smashed his violin and quit music forever
That poor
had he
violin.
not needed it for his job. Classical, 1750 to 1830. Mozart and Beethoven show up like da-da-da-da.
Da-da-da-da.
Now, Beethoven was famously known for going deaf. Once that happened, everyone told him that he should just quit music forever. But
Wait, they actually told him to quit music? I did not know that part. Damn. Also, hi, Brush
he
Boss.
just
Welcome.
wouldn't hear it. Anyway, there's so much I could say about these two. Romantic era. Now that's when everybody started kissing, and it's my favorite. Great piece. Mwah. Oh, you played wonderfully too. Mwah. We also enjoyed listening. Mwah. Mwah, 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 mwah. All you need to know about this one is Chopin and Berlioz. Berlioz, however, was not getting any kisses. He was
don't think I really
relatively
listened to
painfully single,
Berlioz.
living alone in
Don't
Paris.
lynch me. As someone that studied the piano for a very long time, I think 8-9 years, I never heard of him.
The city of love.
I feel bad now.
So here's how it started. He's there and he's in his early 20s and he is looking for a new GF. So one day he attends a Shakespearean play and on stage he spots an actress and he immediately falls in love with her. He wrote her many notes confessing his love,
For her
but her
bosom?
DMs went unreplied. So he began
It went to
writing a
spam.
symphony about her. How can she ignore this?
Oh,
And also
Harriet,
around this time he
you're so
started smoking
nice.
a lot of opium, but don't worry about that. Anyway, so he wrote this piece just for her. However, his DM still went unreplied. For several months he started to get quite disheartened.
Friend zone.
Until he saw another
Or trash
girl.
zone.
So he immediately fell in love with her instead, and he said, you know what? I'm going to change that symphony I wrote, so now it's about this other lady, and not about that ugly one that I didn't like anyway. This time, happily, she reciprocated, and they fell in love and were set to marry. Suddenly. What
Until
phones haven't been invented yet. Yes,
the
hello.
first
I'm busy.
one
Oh,
replied
Rome?
back.
To study? Absolutely. I'll catch the first flight out. So Berlioz went to Rome to study music. However, while he
Wow.
was away, he got some news.
Berlioz. I have to tell you something.
Pregnanto? Preggy? What is it?
Sacre bleu. Some other, more handsome musician swooped in and married his girl while he was in Rome, and they ran away together. Berlioz was furious, and he set his mind to solving the problem. I know what I'm going
That poor
to do.
dude. I don't know how I never heard about him. I like how he changed the name
I'm gonna
from Camille to
murder her
Marie.
and her lover and her mom. And then I'm gonna do a self-murder. What? Alright, so this gets pretty elaborate.
Not a joke. This really is his plan as described in his memoirs. He would affectionately name the former mother-in-law to be as Hippopotamus. He despised her, especially because he believed she had set up the whole marry while away plan, motivated to prevent Camille from marrying Berlioz because he was poor. Jesus Christ.
His idea is to dress up as a housemaid. He has bought both poison
Oh my god, that is a brilliant thing. What's his name? Berlioz.
and 2 guns. Now he is going to sneak into the house of his
Also high
ex-fiancée, and there she and her mother will be sipping tea.
Why does her mother look like a rat? I don't know why, it just gives me rat vibes. It must be the nose.
Which he has already poisoned. Then he will pull off the clothing and reveal himself. Blam, blam, sad overture. So, he heads back home to Paris to do it. But while on his travels there, takes quite a while, he has to change carriages. And when he
And he
does
forgot
that,
the guns?
he leaves the guns in one of the little cubbies. So he's lost all his weapons. What is he going to do now?
Oh.
Well,
I gotta say, I was gonna be like, he had to travel back to Paris, right? So by that time he used logic and calmed down and was like, I'm not gonna murder them anymore. No, apparently just fate stopped him. This guy.
his next leg on the stop is Genoa, and he decides, you know what, let's just skip the murder and go straight to the finale. So he stops off in the port city of Genoa, and he's there at the side of the Mediterranean. He pauses for a moment,
Don't die, dear.
then he throws himself in. Now, some people see this whole thing happen and they think he's had an accident, so they run in to try to save him. They pull him to the shore.
Damn.
He lived. So he has now reached his lowest point. He
He
dejectedly continues home. He gets back to Paris and he wallows around, feeling pretty sorry for himself.
Oh,
But
man.
he decides, you know what? I may as well do what I do best
Write
in
a
times
song.
of trouble.
Use those
Smoke
sad
a lot
feelings.
of opium.
Oh,
And while I do
Never
that, I
mind.
shall write a symphony.
there we
Although I ain't
go.
gonna name it after that hoe who stole my heart. And so he went back to work. But here's the thing. It was the greatest piece he had ever written. And it premiered to a huge crowd. And you know what?
It was called the Symphony Fantastique. It's the piece currently playing.
It was a smash hit. #1 on iTunes. But then, here's a
For
bloody
one on
plot twist.
iTunes.
Remember the first girl?
Uh-huh.
Well, she attended that concert and she realized that Berlioz was a genius. And then she wrote,
I like the comment in the video in the corner. And she was getting old and her career was circling the drain. Yeah, makes sense. Honestly, I would tell her to fuck off at that point. After ignoring the dude for so long, I would tell her to fuck right off.
a genius. And then she wrote a letter to your boy saying how good your bloody symphony was, and sorry about not replying, I just put my phone down and got super busy or whatever. By the way, I love you. And so Berlioz goes, well, I love you too. And a year later,
Are you
they
kidding
were
me?
married. It's a beautiful moral of the story. See, fellas, don't jump in the Mediterranean.
No. Stop being horny. That's all I hear. Stop being horny. That bitch ignored you and only wants your money, man. Stop settling. Take it from the women's advice in 2024. Do not settle.
Anyway, a few years later they got divorced because weirdly he cheated on his wife with the housemaid.
I was gonna say, did he cheat with Camille? Man, I'm surprised I never heard about this dude, because his life is surely a train wreck.
Not that one, a different one. But then he married that housemaid. Hooray! But then when he
God.
died later on, for some reason he gets buried with both of them.
Wait,
Strange.
here lies Harriet Smithson, first wife, and Marie Recio, housemaid, second wife? Why? What?
But moving on to the
Yeah.
Impressionist musicians. Now that's Claude de... The what now?
Debussy.
Claude de what? You know what? You'd better go to ad time. Alright guys, welcome back to the Nord
Debussy.
Stream.
Debussy?
Today we're playing Assassin's Creed 3. Chat, come on, chat. Hey, oh, everyone's spamming Nord in the chat. Whoa, a new follower! Hey, welcome to the Dream Team Sub Cream. Thank you so much for the great.
Sub-cream.
Oh, unfollowed.
Oh.
Sorry, guys. The cleaners are here. Sorry, just ignore the mess. I haven't cleaned up these bottles yet. No, it's just tea. It's just tea.
What is happening in this
I stream for 10 hours a day, and it's like the algorithm is against me or something. How come everyone is watching Asmon's stream, and I'm not getting any new followers? I'm playing the games. What more do you want me to do?
every small streamer that still didn't realize that they need to stop copying others. Ah, man.
Just a quick word from the sponsor. NordVPN is the VPN that you can trust. So go to nordvpn.com/internethistorian for a huge deal on a 2-year plan plus 4 bonus months for free, plus a 30-day money-back guarantee. My God. Today we are going to be watching the new Snow White movie. I love the intro. Oh, I love seeing that Disney logo. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Guys, I'm just gonna get up and get some food. I'll be back in a minute. What the f? Who reported my stream? Hello, my Nordlings. Welcome back to the stream.
Nordlings.
Can we get some ends in the chat, guys? No, Not like that. Mods! Welcome back to the ASMR stream for NordVPN. Today I'm going to be drinking a can of Coke while I say the word Nord. Nord. Hey, thank you for the tier 3 sub. With NordVPN, I can be outside my house, Jack's Film's house, Samito's house, Ordinary Things' house. Just like that.
Nice.
Welcome back to the hot tub stream. What do you guys mean? How many hot dogs can I put in my mouth? Why? I'll just... Oh my god, $5,000 donation. Thank you so much. You guys are such good friends. Streaming's not for me. I'd rather go to nordvpn.com/internethistorian to get a huge deal on a 2-year plan plus 4 months for free.
He just shat on the entire streaming community in such a spectacular and amazing way, and I love it. I'm all for it. That ad is awesome. Tried all the things to get successful and popular on streaming.
Ad over.
Yeah, he's speedrunning the streamer live
Watching
right there.
Netflix, are you?
Oh.
All tucked in with a 3-hour essay on Good Game Good, and here's why.
Fallout New Vegas is actually the only based Bethesda game.
Turn that off. I've got something for you much less enjoyable and far more expensive.
I still need to play that game. I have not played Fallout New Vegas. And I still need to watch the TV show. Yeah.
We're going to the theater. Theater. From the ancient Greek, theatron. The most dramatic of the transformers.
What happened to the bootsy though?
It means a place for viewing. Here's a Roman theater. They were quite simple back then. You have the stage, the auditorium, and the vomitorium. Now, for a very long time, people thought that the vomitorium was a place where the Romans would gorge themselves, where they would eat so much that they would throw up, and then gorge themselves again because they were so decadent and or bulimic. But it comes from the word vomere, which means to spew forth, because that's where people go in and out. So vomitorium is just a dramatic way of saying the entrance. Now, if you skip forward to the 1800s, things are getting a lot more modernized. But they still didn't have electric.
The more you know.
So they had what's called the limelight.
Yeah.
And that's why they say, to be in the limelight, to be the star of the show. What they would do was take a piece of quicklime and heat it up super, super hot, which will naturally glow very bright. They would then take reflective mirrors and lenses to focus the beam, and they would use that as an early form of the spotlight.
Damn.
The limelight is not because it's green, but because it's made from quicklime. In the modern day, things are a lot more advanced, and
I did not know that. Well, I learned 2 new things now. The limelight and the vomitorium.
they can do all sorts of cool shit with like lasers going into your eyeballs and all sorts of stuff. But it's not just the tech that's had an upgrade, it's the architecture as well. In Elizabethan times, they had the yard, and you could get in here for about a penny apiece. And this is where all the poor people stood to watch the shows. It's like when you go to Oppenheimer and you end up with the worst seats in the IMAX theater, right? But thankfully, in modern times, we have fixed that problem. We kicked out all the poor people and we sunk the floor down low.
It's always so weird to see the orchestra being below like that. Like, you get to kind of see them when you're on a higher spot, but not really. Like, every time I've went there, like, they tend to be in the shadow, right? Like, you can't see jack shit from the orchestra. You can maybe see the guy directing it. Maybe.
And put in an orchestra pit.
Until they shine the light on them.
6 to 12 feet deep, so they're not obstructing the audience's view. But having a giant hole at the end of a stage is quite dangerous. So usually they put a big net there as well.
Wait, they have a net there? I didn't notice the net in the ones that I've been to. As I said, it's pretty damn dark every time.
And yet, a lot of people still get pitted. Like a lot of people. In 2011,
That's kind of funny.
during a production of The Sound of Music, One of the lead actresses fell into the orchestra pit and was left paralyzed from the waist down. In 2009,
Jesus
a conductor,
Christ.
not a superconductor, just a regular one, fell 14 feet into the dark pit and broke 9 vertebrae and 1 ankle. Mamma mia. And he fell on his pointy conducting thing. At the Bolshoi Theatre, a violinist died from his injuries after...
What the fudge? He died the following day in the hospital. He had been working at the theater for 4 decades. At 65. Man. That's really unlucky.
falling into the pit. This theatre is prone to all sorts of accidents, by the way. It's kind of cursed. But performers and musicians aren't the only ones falling into the pit.
Oh no.
In 1988,
are you telling me the audience did that?
an 82-year-old man fell from his balcony box seating all the way down into the pit during a performance.
During the intermission, the man was sitting on the balcony rail. When the usher requested he not, he tipped over backwards and fell. Bruh. Did he get spooked by what he was doing? Like, why do people do dumb shit?
Of Macbeth. He died.
He died to
Very spooky.
Macbeth?
Even
Oh my
already
God.
dead people are getting pitted. In 2016, a man sprinkled his friend's ashes into the orchestra pit at the Met Theatre. This happened during the intermission, and it was a sort of tribute to a mentor of his. But of course, people went, "What the hell are you doing?"
What
And he
is
goes,
wrong with you?
"Oh, I don't know." And he flees the scene. Everyone's coughing and sneezing up dead guy, and people think, is this anthrax? What is this? So they call in the
Oh
anti-terrorism
my
police, and the whole
God.
show is cancelled.
The incident occurred and the man responsible, Roger Kaiser, was seen by several musicians sprinkling a white powdery substance in the pit. The ashes were of his friend, Terry Turner, who died of cancer. He was not charged, and he wrote an open letter of apology. Damn, I'm surprised he was not fined at least.
Cancelled for the rest of the evening.
Like, he literally caused the show to be cancelled.
A quick intermission.
And panic.
Or is it? Ooh, fiddle-tee-dee, I am the trap master. Not like that. Do not ask me to reveal my secrets.
Not like
woman.
that.
I have dedicated my life to the mysteries of the theater. The theater. She has so many enigmatic traps. Let us start with the most simple.
We're going
yet
below the
devious.
stage.
The wall trap. It allows the actor
not
to
yet.
walk directly into the set piece. Where did he go? Nobody knows. Cast your eyes over here to the genie trap. Now the victim stands on this dumbwaiter, and a counterweight launches their hapless body up onto the stage. In the olden days, this circle of flaps would sometimes go on top, and then that would make the whole
Oh, that's pretty funny. Whoop! There's a real standardization problem with traps. When this covering is added, the whole apparatus is sometimes renamed the star trap, but the trap itself is actually just the genie trap with a new covering. Although genie trap isn't quite accurate because it's more of a I can't pronounce that. Specific to the Aladdin stage play, referring to the trap the genie character uses. The better term would be spring lift. But it was seldom found in use. Huh. Interesting. Even though it uses a spring? I guess maybe because back then it had a different way of starting being used.
top, and then that would make the whole thing just one way. Now, back when they made this thing, they didn't have hydraulics. So instead, they'd have like 6 stagehands pulling as fast as they could.
Yeah, that's
And
why I'm
sometimes
like,
it would
maybe
go
that's why
totally
it's
wonky,
not.
or it wouldn't open properly, or they'd only get about halfway through.
Oh my god.
Well, I guess that's it. There's only 2. Wrong! This is the vampire trap. And if I want to come back up again, this is called the sunroof trap. Very cool. Watch out for the closing doors on this one. It managed to trap Spider-Man's foot back into production in 2013.
Oh man.
Me and the Green
crunch.
Goblin, we collabed on this one. All right, there's one more. The Ghost Glide. What you do is stand on this slidey bit, and it ascends diagonally, which makes it look like he's coming out of the ground.
That's
But the ladies are there
cool.
yawning, they're going, ooh, short ghost. But then, 5 foot, 5'1", 5'2". All the ladies are turning their heads now. 5'3", 5'4", 5'5". All the
They
ladies are
turned off.
loving it.
What
Now,
you
I bet you'll-
mean? Nowadays it's 6 feet or bust. Come on. Keep up with the times.
Wondering, what happens to the actors when they go down these traps? Are they dead and gone forever?
Yes.
Yes, sometimes. In 1888,
God.
Frederick Federici was playing the role of Mephistopheles in Faust at the Princess Theatre in Melbourne. As he descended the trap at the end of the play, "Goodbye, everybody, goodbye," he had a heart attack and died.
Oh, man.
Never seen again.
Poor dude.
So as you can imagine, with this many deaths, the theatre has become a highly haunted place. Oh, yeah.
Really?
In fact, sometimes you can put your ear right up to the wall and you can hear 2 male ghosts wrestling. Can't fake that. Ah, another ghost hole. Don't look inside. I did once. Almost went blind. That's why I wear the mask. Anyway, because of all the
God.
ghosts, the theatres do whatever they can to keep the spirits happy. See this?
To be fair, there are a lot of superstitions regarding the theater and a lot of sayings like, break a leg and other stuff like that. I wonder if that's kind of related to all the accidents that happen all the time.
It's called a ghost light. When everything is closed, it is kept on always. Kept on for the ghost.
So people don't fall off the stage and hurt themselves. It's a superstition, but a useful liability thing. The ghost light. I mean, yeah, theaters are kind of old, and it does make sense to light them up.
Ghosts, so that they don't bump their shins in the dark or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
At the Palace Theatre in London, there has been some ghostly
Hey,
activity.
I've been there.
It seems to be a bit of a hotspot for ghostly activities.
And that's why they always keep 2 empty seats at the back, so that the ghosts may sit there and watch the show.
So that's why we traditionally kept a couple of seats off sale for the ghosts. However, Harry Potter is so popular that we sell those seats now.
Oh. Also, most theatres close for 1 day per.
Yeah, ghosts wouldn't be interested in magic or supernatural. Yeah, you're right. We should sell it for the sake of profit.
week. And on those days, the ghosts are left to perform for each other in their own shows. Which they like, we think.
Totally
I was worried
not.
about my own vagina. It
Oh,
needed a
finally,
condom.
the vagina monologue.
What did I what? I was gonna say totally not, because people need to reverse and also rest up between shows. Totally not that being the reason. But yeah, let's get back to the vagina monologue.
A culture of other vaginas.
You know, I wasn't always part of the elite. In fact, from a very young age, I grew up in an orphanage. No, my parents weren't dead. Rent in that building was just really cheap. But my parents showed me no affection. And as soon as they could, they sent me off to boarding school.
Boarding school.
But boards were
my
always
God.
their passion, not mine. I tried to run away, but they caught me. And boy, did they throw the book at me. Alas, I did not
puns.
dodge in time.
The puns are real.
I spent the next few years in a coma.
No.
A Native American town, Pueblo, Acoma. And the people there taught me how to read American. They also had a local
to
library.
read American.
And I spent my
Nice.
days buried in books, learning as much as I could about the arts.
Ninja. Let's
And
get
once
that
someone
done.
noticed me buried under those books and they rescued me, I knew I wanted to teach default character presets like yourselves, all about Shakespeare. Editor's note.
Wow.
I started Googling Shakespeare and I got kind of distracted, so I don't know. Here's a WAV file. You can do something with this. Put him in like a classroom or something.
Honestly, Shakespeare gets taught here in 11th grade, I think. 10th grade or 11th grade. I don't remember. Yeah, we have a whole year on Shakespeare.
All right, attention, everybody. I am your new teacher. You are a bunch of troubled inner city youths. All you know is shoot gun, fail test, and
I don't know how to
crime.
shoot.
But I'm here to teach you that actually books
I
and
suck at
reading and
shooters.
stuff are actually pretty epic after all.
I read books.
Now, the earliest
Mostly
known written
fantasy,
language is what, Mr. Single Parent Household? I don't know, Teach, but you're never going to get through to me. Oh, really?
Oh, that
Well, what if I
edit
go
is so good.
back in time? Back in time. In the long, long ago, very few could read. But to be fair, most of the written languages were kind of shit.
I was gonna
This
say,
is
like, the
cuneiform,
symbols.
the very first written language. And it has far too much punctuation. Then eventually came along the Egyptians, and they invented emojis. But they would
my
call them
God.
hieroglyphs. Anyway, the typical written thing would go like this. Message for you, sir.
Emojis.
Big bird, man with stick, man sitting, circle. Oh, more bills. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Eventually that became quite annoying, so the Phoenicians, who were a kind of Lebanese, very progressive especially for those days, now they came up with a better idea. They started going, hey, that sounds a bit like an A. Buh, that sounds a bit like a B. Kuh, and so on and so on, until we had a proto-form of the alphabet.
The
Now,
Phoenicians.
the Greeks thought that was pretty
Let's
neato,
go.
but they said, let's come up with an even better version with 22 letters, and soon that will be like English.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's
think
true.
you lost everyone
Greeks,
there.
more like geeks. Got 'em. Oh, yeah? Well, let me tell you about something highly relatable. Of the surviving Greek works, the greatest hits were the Iliad and the Odyssey. Now, because most people couldn't read, this stuff wasn't written down for a very long time, and instead it was memorized and performed. And when they performed it, they used one of these, a lyre. Now, this was great for
Damn, I
conveying
haven't seen a
tone,
lyre
right? So
in
here's a
ages.
soft bit, doo-doo-doo, but then this is a big dramatic bit. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Now, the Iliad starts with this guy, Menelaus, king of Sparta, and he has a wife, Helen, and she is a very fine lady. And then the Prince of Troy shows up. His name is Paris, and he goes, damn, shorty, awooga, awooga. Okay? Hey, that's what he'd say, right? And he and his boy
Is he trying to appeal to Zoomers? I can't tell.
abduct her and took her all the way back to his crib in Troy. Now this makes Menelaus quite miffed.
Hey, hold on there, Buster.
He declares a turf war, but he can't win it alone, so he calls on his homies. Odysseus, king of Ithaca, and Achilles, the best drive-by shooter of all time. But Achilles is not in the mood to fight.
Achilles won a beautiful maiden as a war prize, but Agamemnon, king of Mycenae, I probably mispronounced that, took the maiden for himself. Achilles felt so dishonored by the whole thing he refused to help in the Trojan War. Other versions include him being prevented from bad touching a particular woman of low nobility. It gets complicated.
So the whole of the Iliad is basically spent trying to convince this guy to get involved.
Please?
No.
Please?
No.
Eventually, they win the turf war by being very sneaky. They make a giant horse, which is the symbol of Troy, and they leave it at the front gate. That's their way of saying, oh, I guess you win. We're walking away now. And meanwhile, thousands of soldiers go off and hide in some bushes.
Here's
The
a
Trojans are
gift.
very suspicious, but they can see that the Greek ships are actually sailing away into the horizon. So they know, oh, it must be real, must be real. We've won the many years war.
Yay! We won the war!
But actually,
Let's open the
there's
gift.
almost no one on those ships, and there's a surprise inside the horse. Later that night, when everyone's asleep, boiling hot
A
tzatziki
virus comes
everywhere.
out.
And also some soldiers wearing thermal protection. They get out and they
There was no hot tzatziki. It was some elite soldiers, sass of their time, hiding in there. Some misunderstandings of the story have the idea that the entire small army was holed up in the horse.
Open the gates, and then everyone comes out of the bushes, running into the city, and kill everybody.
Yay!
After they win the war, Odysseus heads back
Trojan
home
horses.
to Ithaca. However, on his way, he starts making beef with Poseidon, god of the sea.
no.
And Poseidon is mad at the disrespect
Odysseus was supposed to give his thanks to the gods, sort of. It's complicated. And then he blinded Poseidon's son, Polyphemus, the Cyclops.
So he sends Odysseus on a long-ass detour, and that detour is the story of the Odyssey. Pretty epic, right, kids?
Yeah. I also read the story.
Whoa, Teach, that's fire. I'm starting to come around. That Odysseus guy is literally me. Yeah, I'm gonna try that horse trick on my ops. Homer, from Homer's Odyssey, is not a character in the story. He's the guy who tells the story, and then people wrote it down. Now, moving chronologically to the next big one, you've got the Bible. And for all practical purposes, this was basically an oral tradition too. Most people were illiterate by this point, and the Bible was written in Latin, and pretty much only the
Damn, literally rates in the 1400s were 10% men, 1.5 women. Holy shit, that was really bad. Yikesy. To really learn literacy, one would go to a grammar school. When you can sound out most things and roughly get by, up to half the population may have had the skill set according to some sources. Huh.
the clergy knew Latin, so they would be the one to recite it to people.
It says that the cute lady at the front should go on a date with me, please. Listen, the rules are the rules. I didn't say it, the book did.
There was a translated
The
version
rules
into
are the
English,
rules,
the Wycliffe's
indeed.
Bible, and you better believe that thing was a threat to the order. So they made that illegal to own.
What?
And if you were found with an unlicensed copy, the punishment would be death.
Damn.
So it remained. The Bible was read to the people. Now, by the 13th
That is so crazy how much that changed from you're not allowed to own it to every house should have one, which is nowadays. Well, I guess more like 20, 30 years ago. Nowadays, it's probably like books. Who reads books? We have shit on iPads and iPhones and other stuff.
1800s came Chaucer, who wrote the Canterbury Tales, and that was a pretty big deal.
Mm-hmm.
This book now.
Because it's one of the first significant works written in Middle English. It describes a bunch of people making a pilgrimage from Southwark to Canterbury, which is here to here, which was the longest journey anyone had ever made in the 1300s. And now, it's a whole series of stories, and most of them can be boiled down to, how come if everyone is on a pilgrimage, you're all so focused on material stuff? Oh, hypocrites much? Dong.
And then we move on.
It's now
through
the
history.
1600s, and they've updated all the textbooks from Middle English to regular. In 1601, King James I said, all right, you know what? Let's everyone have a copy of the Bible they can read. Let's do a
so
King
that's when it
James Bible.
changed.
I won't feature in it, but I'd love to be in the title. And he commissioned a committee of scholars to rewrite the thing in English, God's language. It took 8 years.
Damn.
And that brings us to Shakespeare.
That's quite fast,
And
honestly.
he's a huge deal. Oh, look, we're out of time. but sir, we're supposed to do penis inspection day today. No, there's
What?
no time. Roll the end card. The end.
No!
All right, that's the lesson. You watched the whole video. Or at least, you had it on in the background while you scrolled your phone.
I didn't
And I couldn't be
touch
prouder of you.
my phone.
There's just one more quick thing I want to tell you about. Theatre props. For example, this gun. Now, the thing... Oh, look who it is.
Why are we in
I know
the
what
future
you're
with a
thinking,
gun
but
now?
it's just an actor. We all know that the real Lincoln is dead. When he fell asleep on the tracks of the Underground Railroad. Anyway, this thing is super realistic. Although the trigger is a little loose.
Okay.
Oh,
This
I can't
got
believe you
dark
did that.
really quick.
But I won't tell anyone. And, in fact, good news. I'm gonna make you my little protege. And I will be your protojo. And I got so many more lessons to teach. Still here,
That
huh?
went dark
Yes,
so
just a little
fast,
cleaning.
man.
More good news. Next video is almost done. It'll be on incognito mode, and it's about the art. And the next main channel video is also nearly done. That'll be out shortly after. If you're looking for more content in the meanwhile, we have another channel called Story Mode. The Metal Gear Solid and Forspoken videos are especially good. Don't forget NordVPN. Thank you for watching. More soon.
Hey, you missed a spot there. Clean better. Oh, that was a very interesting video, but I feel like the whole Shakespeare act is like, let me tell you about Shakespeare. But first, we gotta talk about books. And we ran out of time to talk about Shakespeare. And I'm like, I feel cheated. I want my Shakespeare. Give me my Shakespeare. No, don't. I spent enough time studying Shakespeare. Yeah, that was a really fun video. Honestly, he's probably one of my favorite creators right about now. Like, his videos are very entertaining to just sit there and watch, like, kind of like glued to the screen. I don't know about you guys, but like, I don't think I could watch something else while watching this. I'm just like this, quite literally. Half the time, not even sure what to think of it.